Good evening. Welcome to tonight's class. So tonight we'll be moving straight to a new topic, which is also part of what we have in plan doing, talking about Excel for data analytics, which is data cleaning. So what data cleaning is just like the third step when we are ranging, we are counting from if you are looking from data analytics cycle. The first aspect is for us to understand the problem, understand the goals and objective of the particular problem you are trying to solve. The next thing is to know the source of your data. The next thing is to know the source of your data, right? Then after that, after you must have seen your data, when I mean data, I mean the data set itself. Then the next thing is for us to clean the data. And why do we need to clean? We need to clean in order to make sure that the integrity of that data is high. Can you hear me, please? You need to clean to make sure that the integrity of our data set is high because we need to make sure the integrity is high. What do I mean by integrity? Integrity just talks about um, how perfect, how real, how clean, right? How clean or how pure your data is. So, which means if you are making any decision from that particular analysis that you are doing, you be rest assured that this analysis or the decision you are making is for the best of the company or for the best of yourself or for the best of the team in any other sectors you are trying to work with. Right? So I think it's important. That's an important aspect of that. So today we'll be moving straight to data cleaning. How do we clean data in Excel? Very important. So we are going to introduce us to two main types. There is one manual cleaning. We have one called manual cleaning, and that is what we are going to introduce us to. But before that, we should know there is this particular thing I want to introduce us to, which is cleaning processes, right? Data cleaning processes. What are those things we need to put in place? What are those things we need to make sure we do, right, while cleaning our data set? I think this is very, very important. Very, very important. That's why I've taken my time to list those things out just for us to know this. So, number one, so data cleaning processes. Let me just put it there. Data cleaning processes. Right. The first one is removing unnecessary column. Removing unnecessary Is it removing unnecessary columns, right? So what do I mean by that? You check and see if there are columns that are unnecessary. Those columns might be real, but because you already understood the goals and objective of your project, there are some columns that will not be relevant again. A very valid example is if I'm working on a project that involves numbers of people, for example, in a sales shop, right? I want to understand how much they make. I want to understand why are they making profit? Why are they making losses, right? And which product is the most important product in that particular sales shop? And then that is my issue, right? And they gave me a certain. Let me quickly kill this off. Oh, sorry. And they gave me a certain data and data set that has names of their customers, right? They gave me a data set that has names of their customers, right? So that is not necessary, right? The customer's name they gave me there is not necessary. So I would have to remove a column that has a customer name because I don't need the customer name in analyzing or in getting whatever thing I really want to get. So those ones would really help if I remove those ones. So I'll be left with columns that are useful, right? So it's important for us to know which column is necessary, which column is not necessary. And what will tell you that is the first thing I told you, understanding the goals and objective of the project. That's why the first question you ask your stakeholder or the financier of the project or the MD CEO, right, or the team lead of the company is what is the goal of this project? It's important. That's the first question you should ask. It's important. Even if you are given a brief, you ask for a brief. It's important. Ask for a brief. So the brief can be in form of a written form, it can be oral, right? And it can be informal. It can be informal, but that brief is very, very important. What is the goal and objective of this process, of this project? That gives you an insight of what you need to implement and how you want to implement it. So the second one is standardizing column names. Yeah, very important. Standardizing, have a column name standardized, right? Have a column name standardized. That's very, very important aspect of it too, because there are different ways in which you just see people writing column names, right? Different ways. For example, you will see what we have on our screen right now. You will see all these things that we have. We have the president column now. We have George Washington, which is capital letter for each word. The second one, we have John Adams. You can see just small letter. Third one is this. The fifth one, James Morrow. You can see all in caps lock. This is not, it's not, there is no consistency in this particular thing. So we need to make sure we get this out and make sure we get it right. And these are things that we really want to do to it. Next thing is to fix capitalization and spacing, right? We want to trim or clean the column. Let me just put it that way. Cleaning or fixing the column. So let's put it that way. Cleaning or fixing the column, right? The next thing is we format column. What do I mean by formatting column? Format column. That's fourth one. Fourth one, we want to format our columns. So what do I mean by formatting columns, right? Formatting columns just simply means that we want to make sure that a column that is meant for text is text. A column that is meant for numbers is numbers. A column that is meant for dates should be dates. A column that is meant for percentage or any other thing is meant for that specific thing that is being called to do. So these are very important aspects. So that will really help us in getting things done better, right? So the next thing that we want to do is checking for missing data, right? Check for missing data. Check for missing data. Most of the time, if you are working with a very big raw data set in real life, there will be some columns or some rows that are missing. And there are different ways in getting those things done, right? In fixing those things. So how do we fix missing data? So if you have a column that is missing or you have a row that is missing, it's important for us to make sure that column is fixed, except if we know that that column is insignificant to our result. So for example, if I have a salary column and I have a certain person in that particular column that earns close to $100,000 a year and it's missing, obviously that will affect my results, right? Obviously that particular column will also affect my result because I won't really get to take into cognizance what that particular person is earning. And I won't really, the decision we'll be making will be deficient based on that particular, especially if we are talking about figures, right? So it's important for us to make sure we check for missing data. And how do we get answers to missing data? There are different ways of getting it. The first one is asking questions. Like I said, one of the soft skill a data analyst will have to have again after this particular skill is communication skills, right? 90% of your work relies on communication. 90%. Yeah, I can say it categorically that 90% of your work relies on communication, right? You need to be able to have a good communication skill. Very, very important, right? You need to be able to communicate with stakeholders, communicate with your team lead, communicate to your subject, communicate to so many people around you that is involved in this particular project, right? So how do you do that? So you use your 5 Ws, right? Your 5 Ws will always work to getting missing data. 5 Ws will always work for missing data. So what are the 5 Ws? The what, the who, the where, right? The which one again? Hello? What, who,
Why?
where, why, yes. Then what's the last one?
When? When?
When, yeah. So all these things ask specific questions, right? So the first, what is what? The person, okay, what value is missing? Oh, is a number. So who do I need to ask? So maybe that particular column involves guys in the accounting department, or it involves guys in the HR department, right? So I believe with that, once you know where you need to go to, the question is half, the problem is half solved, right? So you can easily go there and even go and cross-check and get the original file. You were given a soft copy. Maybe you were given a soft copy, or you were able to give, or someone typed it and there was a typographical error. You can request for the original file, which is even a printed file. Can request for it and check and trace it out and confirm if it's a typographical error. So you've been able to use what? You've been able to use who? You've been able to use where. Where is this thing happening? Which department? Which team lead? Right? So these are things that you would so where can be issue of the maybe you are trying to discover some fraud using some forensic analysis. Maybe you are trying to do some data forensic analysis, right? So where and why? All these questions will really give you an insight to what is missing in your work. So maybe perhaps if you are talking about forensic analysis, no, you'll be checking about trends. Okay, every year or every month, there's a certain amount of money that moves out from the account. Where does it go? Who is doing this? Who owns it? Who initiates this? So when is the last money? So we discovered that the last money supposed to originate at so time, because we've seen it consistently that at so time, a certain amount of money leaves the account. But a certain period, the money did not go. It went at a different time. What happened? Why did it happen? Right? So what time did it happen? That is when did it happen, right? So all these things are very, very important. So if you follow these 5 Ws critically and you use your communication skills very well, you'll be able to get this answer to it. But of course, there are other ways of getting answers to these things. If by adventure everything did not work, you've gone through all the things that did not work, right? So we can come around. If it is figure, we normally use average. I will just average, add all the figures and calculate the average. Then is the average I'm going to put inside the missing column. That is after I might have gone through all these processes. Listen very well. Because sometimes it might be a typographical error. It might be an error of omission. Do you understand? So as a data analyst, it's not just sitting down, working on your laptop. You need to go to the field and also cross-check. Very, very important. And that's why I just need to put that. Then last but not the least, which I'm going to put there, is removing duplicates. Remove duplicates. So, yes, it happens a whole lot. It happens a whole lot, especially when you are not the one that originated or that started that particular data set, right? So maybe you went to the field, you were able to give like, you were looking for 100,000 or 200,000 rows, and you were able to give to different people to help you collate, right? So some people might collate, so you stop at 100, right? That person stopped at maybe 105. The next person starts from 100, from 100, of course, everybody, the person that starts, that ends, it is old at 105. And the person that starts his own from 100 will also include the one in 105. But you, at the data analyst, you don't need to start cross-checking. It will stay, what you just need to do is to combine all those data sets together, merge it together to form one data set. And once you have that one data set, like over 100,000 data sets, then you can start working on it. Right, but it's important for you to also cross-check by using remove duplicates. And we are going to see how to do all these things. So these are processes. Of course, it's not necessarily to do all these things in a chronological order, right? The way I've written it. No, it's not compulsory to do it this way. All right, it's not a must to do it this way. So you can just make sure, but just make sure that everything you are doing, you are checking that list. Checking that list. Oh, I've done this, yes. I've done this, yes. I've done this, yes. I've done this, yes. So once you do this holistically very well, right? And you remove some unknown characters. Like I said, standardizing, fixing columns, format columns, remove unknown characters. Let me put it that one. Let me write that one specifically. Remove unknown characters. Remove unknown characters, anything you are going to see. Once you do all these things, you just need to check all these lists, but it's not necessary to follow this thing in a chronological order the way I've just done it now. It's not a must to do it this way, but just make sure you check all these boxes. So once you do this, of course, you'll be rest assured that your data is clean. And it's not a must. It's not all data sets that you follow all these things. There are some columns that you won't even see. You just use two. Some columns you use just one. Some columns you have to use all. Because while cleaning while cleaning data, we would also want to inspect column by column. So column A, we inspect it. Column B, we inspect it. Column C, we inspect it. Column C. So column D will follow all these principles in each column depending on what is happening in that column. So what you do in column A might not necessarily be what you would do in column B, might not necessarily be what you do in column C. Right now, imagine you now have a column of close to say 50 columns, and the number of rows is close to like 3 million. You cannot be the one to work with these things. You cannot be the one to work with this thing alone. You cannot. You cannot work with it alone. Right? So that is where a teamwork also comes into play. Teamwork is necessary. You need to know how to work as a team, right? So it's important for us to also learn all these things. And I think this process is very, very key. So this will now take us through the very first manual way of cleaning our data sets, right? So let me clean this up. Do you have any question before we move? No question, right? Okay, thank you. So let's come back to the real project. Since we already know what we intend doing and how do we go about this. So, like I said, I've explained what data cleaning is, right? I've explained. So basically, data cleaning is the process of preparing this particular data and using all those processes to correct inadequacy, inaccuracy, and any other thing that is irrelevant in your data set, and to make sure the integrity of a data set is high, right? So which means that if anybody question your result, you will tell them, no, my data set is clean, right? The integrity of this particular data set is high and it can stand any test. Can even give it to them, go and clean it elsewhere, right? Give it to another data analyst to help you clean it. The integrity of this data set is high. Hence, the result or the decision I'm making based on this thing is perfect. Do you understand? Aha. So that is how it works. So let's start with our step-by-step cleaning. So what's the first thing we are going to do here? So the first thing, like I said, let me increase it. I think we should increase it a bit. Okay, I think it's better. Okay, let me see. Yeah, I think it's better. Yeah, so the first thing first is, like I said, we are going to start a row by row, right? Row by row. And this is manual cleaning. We're going to start row by row. So the first row, we have serial number. The first row, we just have a number. That's this column A. And we observe that this column A and this column B are almost the same, except this is just showing me an index file. That is the only thing I can see here. Are you with me? Hello, can you hear me, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is just showing me an index column. That is the only thing I can see here. So I will have to remove it because this is not useful. It's not useful at all. So this is what I'm going to do. That's the first thing we are going to do. Removing columns that are unnecessary. Remember, Now do remove, you just right click and click delete. That's the first thing we're going to do. You can see. So the second one is to check here. Then how do I check these things? Very important. So the first thing you need to do is to come to data, right? And go to filter. So once you click on filter, everything becomes, you can check and sort out or even inspect what is happening to check distinct value. But I want to do it for all the columns here. So what I will just do is just highlight this thing, then click on this so everything becomes normal. Can you see? Another thing I can do again to make sure I get this thing. So let me do on click. Just click on any column. Click on any column and press Ctrl A. So once you click on any column and press Ctrl A, don't go to data, then click on filter. Once you click on filter, I'm sure this particular thing will work. Will pop up. Yeah, will pop up. So the next thing I'm going to do, for us to be able to see clearly and see the entire content of our data set, right? There is a way we can do it also. You can see this spiral. I can only see commander-in-chief of the every other thing, I can't see it. Then the next thing you tell me, we can drag it now. Now imagine I want to drag like 20, 50 columns. So I should be able to drag it at once and everything will be perfect, right? And that is what I'm going to show you. So what you are going to do is just to come to this edge. You can see this particular arrow facing, say, southeast, right? Southeastern part of your laptop, right? Facing this, yeah, southeastern part of your laptop, facing this arrow. Just click on it. Once you click on it, then you can just go to any column, be it column A, column B, column C, column D, but because column A is nearer to this particular thing, I don't need to go to elsewhere. I will just come here, then double click. Once your cursor, you can see my cursor is bold here. So once my cursor is as thin as this and it's longer, then I can just double click. Just double click from your mouse. Once you double click, it readjusts its individual columns and it will accept everything. So at a glance, so I can come back and just click on any column. At a glance, I can see the content of my work, of my data set. So I can know what is happening in the data set, even without going and dragging individual columns. That is also very key. So like I said, the first thing is for me to inspect. What am I expecting here? I'm expecting just numbers. So if I inspect and I see alphabet or I see any characters or known characters or known symbols, of course, I'm going to delete it. I'm going to check it out and delete it out. So let me quickly inspect. Yeah, we can see this is very key. It's very important. Can you see it now? Everything is perfect. We don't have issues with it, so we can move. Another one I have here is the presidency. So you can see the president, the column president is now the issue now. Yes. So we now have issues with the column president. So what's the issue? The text are not properly aligned. There is no consistency in the text. So capitalization, blah, 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 it's just there. So I need to make sure there's consistency in this area, in this place, right? I need to make sure we've got consistency here. Very, very important. Very, very important. So how do we do that? We can't be doing it one after the other, right? For obvious reason. You can't be doing this one after the other for obvious reason. So what do we need to do is to create a new column. So how do we create a new column? I can just right click and do insert. Once I insert, I have a new column, right? I can drag it a little bit if I wish, right? So once I drag, just for us to see, I can name it President Explain or President Corrected. I can say president underscore correct. That's the name of the column I'm going to give it. So how do I do this? So you remember when we're doing formula during the last class, you remember text, right? And you remember this particular function called proper function, right? That is what we're going to use to change everything here to a better one, right? So how do we do that? Very easy. We'll just start with an equality sign. equal to, then we do proper. Then we click on C2, then we press enter. We close our parentheses and we press enter. Yes, we might not see this. We might not see the effect already. But once, remember what I did here. I don't need to drag down, right? I will just come here to the edge of my cell, of the cell, then I double tap. So once I double tap, everything becomes normal. So you can see the difference. I have John Adams, everything is capitalized. So all the names in this particular column is now perfect. The name in this particular column is now perfect, very perfect. However, I can even change this to say correct a president alone. Right. So the question is not going to be, what is the issue with this? Do you have any issue again? No, we don't have any issue, right? Because we've been able to check, apart from the names, there's nothing again. Everything is perfect right now. So the consistency in the text and everything is good, right? The next thing is going to be coming to this particular place, this spiral thinking. So the issue we have here is we have this particular symbol. So for obvious reason, we only see these symbols when we have ranges in years, right? Between 1775 to 1783, right? We already understand what this particular data set is talking about. It's talking about the presidents and the vice presidents of United States of America, right? And before they got to the presidency, this was their initial position, right? So we can see the ones that has a range of years has this particular symbol, and this symbol is not far-fetched, right? It's because maybe perhaps our system is English typed or UK typed, and the symbol they use is maybe perhaps a French symbol or a German symbol or something like that. And because we don't have that same symbol here, it should change it to a special symbol, just something like this. So how do we change this? Then we use this particular find and replace method. We can get the find and replace method manually, but I will give you just come here. So first thing we can just do is just highlight that symbol we want to change, copy it, right? Then click on this entire row. How do you click on the entire row? Go to the column itself. Once you have the arrow down button, click on it. So once you do that, then you can press Ctrl H on your laptop. Ctrl H is find and replace. Find and replace. You can also get that in your ribbon. It's there in your ribbon, right? Find and replace. So it's there. So what are we finding? We are finding, we need to look for this in this row, this particular column, and replace it with just ordinary dash, right? So once you do that, we just tell it to replace all. So we can see we have 36 replacements made. So anywhere it sees that particular symbol, it will help us change it to just dash. You can see. So everything we have here is perfect. And I don't think we have any other thing we need to do in this particular column any longer. So let's check again if you have anything. I don't think we've got anything we need to do. I don't think so. I don't think we've got anything we need to do. Yeah. So coming down here is very key, very important. And I want us to please pay attention to this part very well, right? So this one, we can see this one does not really require us to use a function like that. And that's why we did not create a new column for that, right? And I'm going to show you, after we might have done all this, I'm going to show you how we are going to go deal with these two columns that we have already, right? So, but don't worry, we're going to do that right after we are done with this. So here, there are so many things I want us to check, which I'm going to ask questions, right? We can see that once I check the distinct value I have in this particular column, I have different democratic. I have democratic Republican. Yeah, which is good. I have had democratics. So I know in the US, there is only two-party system now. But before then, there used to be some party systems, there are some other party before now, right? I know Republican and Democratic. Those are the two parties I know in the US, and I'm sure everybody knows that. And I know this because I already understand the goals and objective of this particular project. If I don't know, I will go and Google. So if of course, the team lead or the major financier of this particular project will have told me he or his or her aim, what you intend to gain at the end of this project. So if I don't understand it, I will ask further question, probe further, or even Google, go online and do some research, right? Aha. So based on the research, I already know that in those days there used to be Democratic Republican, which still happens in Nigeria. I think now they don't do that again in the US. Once you are with a particular ideology, you are going to go with that particular ideology. So if I'm a Democrat, I won't say tomorrow because I want to become a president and Democrat is not giving me a ticket, I would change to Republican. No, it's not done any longer in the US. I think they've gone to that level where they want to really believe, have a core belief in their idea. The ideology is very, very key. But in Nigeria, it still happens. So you can be a president with APC today, and by next election, you can run under for that same presidency under another political party, maybe perhaps PDP. It happens a whole lot, right? Aha. But yeah, we already know that in those days it used to happen. So I can say this happens. So another thing I can say, I can now say democratic. So which means democratic might be a typographical error, which we need to like effect. So let's quickly check it out. Yeah, it's only one. It's democratic. You can see. So which means this might be a typographical error from the person typing it. It's very, very important, right? Aha. So please let's check all these things. So we have non-partisan. Yeah, it happens. I think this also happens in Nigeria. We have federalist. It happens. Non-partisan also happens. I think Fela also contested under a non-partisan ideology. Like, I don't belong to any party, and I'm going to contest, right? Based on my popularity. So here we have Republican, we have Republicans. What I know is Republican. I don't know Republicans. So these are things that we want to like effect in this particular column. Then last one we have Whig, and we have Whig again. This is also a party in those days. This is also a party, right? And you can see there is a typographical error here. Maybe the dates was also um mistakenly imputed. Yeah. So we need to change all these things at ease. So the first thing we are going to do is come to this particular row. So we are going to use find and replace all true to make sure all these things is perfect. So the first thing is for us to check how democratic was written, right? How was it written and how do we really need to change it? Very, very important. So we have democratic. The way the author have written it should be what? Democratic, just like this. And they wrote demo, which is demo R, then catic. Do you understand? Demo R, then catic. So that is what we're going to change. So we're going to use that. So we're going to do Control H, just like I said. Then anywhere you see demo R, then catic, something like this, you change this to democratic. Democratic. Exactly. So I will just say replace all. So can you see? All done. We only made one replacement. So it's obvious it's only one. So you can see that we are right. So let's go and check. You will observe that we don't have two democratic again. We only have democratic, Republican. So the next one is let's quickly fix that of Republicans also. What we used to know or we know is Republican. We don't know Republican. So this might also be a typographical error, right? So let's quickly fix it. So when you see Republicans, change it to Republican. So that's what we're going to do again. Control H. So we do Republicans. Once you see Republicans, change it to Republican. The strange, replace all, we only need one. Yeah, for obvious reason. Let's close. Let's go and check again. So you can see. Can you see? What's the next thing we need to change? I think we've been able to fix this. We fixed this. So we need to fix this also. Right? So how do we fix this? So the way we're going to fix it is just to go there and pick it up. Since it is one, let's check how many of these things do we have there. If it is many, then we can use find and replace. If it is one, we can just fix it up manually, right? We can fix it up manually, but you can also use find and replace to fix it up. And it's obvious this is it here. And just come here, just delete it. So that's another way of fixing things. So once we finish fixing, so let's go and check. You can see a column, a Dixon column that is very long, clumsy. Now it is now shaped, right? We can see how shaped it is. We can see how it is now. We can now easily see what is going on here. So I can be rest assured that this particular column is also clean. So next is to check this particular column. So let's check. This column has an issue. So what's the issue? We have space issue, right? So you always tell me we have space issue and we have the issue of capitalize each word, right? Two things that we want to fix here. So the question you have to tell me, it's simple now. Let's just press, let's do this. Press enter. Which one again? Oh, John C. column. Yeah, let's do this. Let's say, let's press enter. So now imagine I have like 100,000 rows. Is this how I'm going to doing it? I'll be doing it. No, you can imagine. I just saw a mistake I made. I finished Aaron Ball, right? Because of my eyes could not see it very well. I skipped George Clinton because the space in between George and Clinton is also wide, right? So it's important for me to also do this. So I should be able to employ a function to help me do this perfectly well, even without blinking my eye. And I will be rest assured that the result it's giving me is going to be perfect, right? So let's go back to the normal side that we have. So this is what we have. So the next thing I can do is just for me to create a new column, right? So I can create a new column. I can name it vice also, depending on what you want to name it. So I'm going to start with this particular function called a trim function. Remember what trim does for us? Trim removes spaces, right? How do I get it? Like I said, go to the text formula is there. Trim removes spaces, right? It removes inline, outside spaces, and it leaves a space in between. Just a space. So if you have more than a space in between your two word, it's going to trim it down to a single space. Right? And that is what this will give me. So let's check. So I'm going to do that of John Adams and boom. Yeah, I might not really understand what it has done, but if I just double click tap down, you will see that my result, it's perfect. Can you see the iron board I have that is, yeah, you can see trim has really helped me to shift it back to the normal where it's supposed to be. The space between the John C column and the other John C column, you can see it is now perfect. George M. Dallas, it's perfect. And every other one's Milan Fillmore. Yeah, you can see it's perfect. George M. Dallas also perfect. Everything is perfect right now. So the question now is, are we done with this particular column? Yeah, technically we can say we are done. But of course, we can see that some offices that are vacant. So sometimes we've got vice presidents, we've got a president that doesn't have a vice president, right? The office was vacant, and you can see the way they wrote the vacant in small letter. Now we have our rules of writing, right? All word must be what? In capital letter. The first letter in each word should be in capital letter. So how do we do that? So this is where we are going to employ the function of a function or nested function thinking that we did during the last class. Right here, because we're able to do this, John Adam Ustream, we can as well employ proper. Remember? Can as well employ proper here. Then we just come here because I have two functions, right? So I need to end it with two closing brackets, closing parentheses, right? So if I press enter, everything becomes normal. No, there is no error, right? Then I can still come here and do that. So once I do that, you will see my vacant from small letter, which I have here, has now turned to a capital letter. At the same time, the spacing has also been affected. So invariably, this particular column is perfect. So I can move to the next column. So the next column talks about the salary. Yeah, talks about the salary. So the first thing we need to do, why as a data analyst, is once you are working with figures, always remember to remove. First thing you will remove is remove the sign, right? Remove the currency sign. That's the first thing you will do. That's the first thing you will do. The first thing you will do is to remove the what? The currency sign. So how do I remove the currency sign? Different ways. Can go back to home and change this. You know, it has always been in text. Change this to numbers. Boom. And that's all. Then the next thing I'm going to do also, right, is because all these numbers are just 00, 00, 00, 00, 00, right? They don't have, I don't have, what's it called? Figures or values here. I can remove this 000. So how do I remove it? Just to come here and click on this. You can see everything becomes perfect. Then I can add comma if I choose to add comma. And add comma if I choose to add comma. So everything is becoming perfectly well, right? So yeah, with just click, I'm done. And I can assure you that this particular column is perfect. So the next one is this particular date column. So do you have an issue with this particular date column? Yes, we have an issue. You can see there is no consistency here, right? So we have a long date and we have a short date. But the first thing is come here, and change the data type to, we have a, if it is long date you want, this is it. Everything becomes perfect. If it is short date you want, which is it is what we are always used to, right? This is it. So everything becomes perfect. You don't have an issues with it. Same thing goes with this particular one, date updated and date created. So yeah, I'll do the same thing to this, and boom, will be good. Let's see. So I'm using short dates. So everything is perfect. So the question now is going to be, we have so many redundant columns. So where are the redundant columns? Columns that we change. This is no more useful. And this column is no more useful. Where is it? Yes. How do we erase it? How do we erase it? Some question was just, we can just delete it now. Yes. But if you delete it, it will affect some work. So what are those things that we need to do? So you will discover that once I delete this, let me delete it just for you to see. Can you see? Have an error here saying reference error. You know, it was the answer I got here was as a result of a function. And this particular cell is referencing a certain cell for it to be able to work perfectly well. That cell is referencing is now has been deleted. So we have a reference error, right? You have a what? A reference error. And hence, that tells us what we did on the last class. Absolute referencing and what? Absolute referencing and what? Relative referencing.
Relative.
Yes, relative
Well,
referencing.
uh,
You can now see where those things comes into play. So how do we now delete it? So it's back now. Everything is perfect. So how do we delete it? So the first thing we need to do is just come here, right? Can just come here and copy this particular column. So once you copy this column, right, we can now come here and paste it here. So how do we now paste? There are different type of paste. This is what I want to show you. You won't paste with just Control P. You will now paste values. So what does value means is value is just pasting that what's it called? The text or the word or the statement invariably. It will just paste it as it is. It's not going to paste the code behind it. Do you understand? So values is just what you are seeing. For example, maybe you've written a long functions to be able to get a certain value. So if you now want to copy that value and paste it somewhere in another cell, so you can paste it either with normal pasting that we have, or you paste with just value. What value we just do is give you the value alone, right? So it won't be showing proper blah 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 here any longer. right? What will be showing in the formula bar is going to be the value of that work. And that's all. So if I check here, you will see that its only value is showing me. If you check here, you will see that it's showing me function. Here, it's showing me just value. So I can come here and delete this. So once I delete this, I have this perfectly well. So I don't have issues because I've been able to paste with just value, nothing more. So here also, same thing. I will just do this, copy, come here, then I can paste with just value. So once I paste with value, everything becomes normal, and I can come here and delete. So we've been able to get rid of redundancy, and boom, our data is clean. We now have a clean data, right? And this is a way to analyze or clean our data manually. Do you have any question? So in view of no question, so we are going to show ourselves another method of cleaning our data, and that will take us to a new method, right? Using a Power Query to clean our data. So what do you mean by Power Query?
Sir.
So,
Hello, sir.
so if you have any question, can you please respond?
Okay, sir. I have a question. I think you made mention of missing value. Like, for instance, if you have a missing value, how do we clean it, sir?
Unfortunately, this particular data set, I think I explained how to get a missing value the other time. I explained it, but unfortunately, this data set doesn't have a value that is missing. Everything is perfect, so we won't use that. We wouldn't use that. But I explained how to get answers to those missing values earlier. Thank you. Yeah. So if you have any question, yeah, you can please just note them down. After the class, you can ask it, please. So we'll be going straight to Power Query. Right. So how do we get Power Query? I'm sure every one of us have a Microsoft Office that is 2016 and above. 2016 and above. If you have a Microsoft Office with 2016 and above, yeah, I can assure you that you have this particular tool called Power Query Editor. So I'm going to show you how Power Query Editor works. How do we launch it? Then let me first of all launch it for you. Then I explain what it means. Right. So it is on this particular platform, right? So we go to data itself, right? Or I can as well even create a new column. So no, let me use this. Maybe perhaps I can just use a new clean sheet like this, right? And we come to data and we come to get and transform data, right? We come to get and transform data, right? And there are different ways of getting it. There are different ways of getting it. So here, which is what I'm going to show us, is getting data from files. We want to get our data, that particular data that we launched earlier, we can get it here. So where exactly do you really want to get it? From files, Excel, text, that's CSV, XML, JavaScript object notation, that's the meaning of JSON. You have a PDF from every other, but most of the time you work with this and this. Most of the time. We also can get our data from database, SQL. We are using SQL, using no SQL, any other thing. From cloud, this is limited to just Azure alone. Azure is a cloud platform from Microsoft. And you know we are using Microsoft too. So that's why this is limited to Azure alone. So when we get to Power BI, right? Power BI extend its own ways of getting data to so many cloud facilities. Google Web Service, Amazon Web Service, Alibaba also have a cloud platform. Uh, Gita Ocean has its own cloud platform and the like. So all these things are very, very important. So for now, so let me quickly open this. So there are different ways. I can open from text, from web, then from table, which is here. You can just click from table because I just want to open an empty file for us. Empty file. So once I just click OK, a new platform shows up. Can you see? It's called Power Query Editor. I'm sure some of us might be seeing this for the first time, and this is a powerful tool, right? For for data analysis, for data analysts generally. This is a powerful tool for data analysis. So what do we use this particular thing for? Please note, it's an advanced data transformation and cleaning tool. So we use it for cleaning and for transforming data. So many things that you see us do with this, right? It is inbuilt here. Like I said, it's inbuilt. So what do we use it for? We use it to connect to our data. So that we're looking at how do I connect my tools to my data, it's easier. We use it to connect to our data, we use it to transform our data, and we load our data to multiple sources. You can use it to load our data from multiple sources. Multiple sources, yeah, very, very important. So, what are those things it does? It does automation very well. Very well. So what do I mean by automation? I'm going to explain to you. It is time efficient. It's fast, right? So what do I mean by fasting? So instead of writing all these functions that we normally write, nested function, clinical function, with just a click, we get those things done, which I'm going to show you also. Then we'll know no functions or no coding required, just like that. Right. So let me quickly show you how it means. So this is the home. I'm just trying to explain what it means, and I think everybody should understand that better. Right. So this is home. In this home, we have close and load. What close and load does is it takes us back to Excel. It takes us back to Excel. Refresh review is when we have issues, we want to refresh. Yeah, it will refresh everything and the changes occurs. But most times, what do we need here? Most times is to manage columns, to manage rows, transform, combine, and do some other things here. So what do we do in managing columns? So imagine we have so many columns, right? Like 20, 30, 40 columns. I can just come here and choose a column compared to what we used to do in Excel, where I would just be scrolling up, scrolling down, which I've done today. I've done today, right? But here, I will just come here, pick that column and click on OK. Once I click on OK, automatically it takes me straight to that particular column without hassle, right? And that is what it does here. I can delete. I can also go to that column. I can choose that column and do whatever thing you want to do. Yeah, we can remove the column. Yes, yes, we can just remove the column. So here, what we do in keeping rows here is we can keep a top row, keep duplicates, keep errors. But if we want to remove duplicate, this is where we also remove duplicate. So in our data set that we did, I think that was the last thing we did not do, and nobody asked that question. So let me quickly go back there. Let's come back to close and load. Come to this place back, right? The last thing we ought to do is to remove duplicates. There is a duplicate. There are duplicates here. The one I know that is very obvious is this Barack Obama one. The Barack Obama one is very obvious. This is a duplicate, which I think it's very important for us to use to do, right? And none of you asked that question. It was when I remember when we were doing duplicated, that's when I remember. So I think it's important we quickly do that. And I think there is one also within this particular place. I don't know, but it's there. But how do we remove duplicate? So we just come here to data, then we come to this particular place. You can see data tools. So under the data tools, we have remove duplicate, right? So how do we do that? So we can actually delete or get every other thing here, right? Or even just leave it just the way it is. Then come here and remove duplicate. So it will pop up. This will pop up and saying, do you want to remove check duplicate within all these columns? Yes. Check duplicate with all these columns. Yes, you need to check duplicate with all these columns. Very, very important. Then you just click on OK. Once you click on OK, what did it say? You can see two duplicate value found and removed. So we have 45 unique value compared to what we used to have, right? So you can see that Barack Obama becomes one and she removes another one. If you can check very well from your end, you will see that there is another one within this particular place. I think it's Woodrow Wilson. If you check, Woodrow Wilson is also the same thing, right? So Barack Obama was removed and Woodrow Wilson was also removed. And with this, we can say that, yeah, our data is now clean and perfect. And this can also go to any test. You can give to another person to help you cross-check to see if it is clean or not. But since we've been able to tick all our boxes in forms of data cleaning, I think it's perfect. It's a perfect way to go, right? So let's go back to what we were doing. So earlier on, we have this. So how do I go back there? Very easy, very easy. So I can just click on this query design, then click on edit. So boom, I'm back here. So like I was saying, we can remove duplicate from it. So instead of going through all those processes there, you will see that it's easier with just a click. We'll remove the duplicate and boom, we are done, right? So here is splitting to columns. So we have transform. So I'm not going to talk much here because I'm still going to discuss it in this particular transform ribbon here. Here we have merge queries and append queries. So what do you mean by queries itself? What do you mean by query? Query is trying to force someone to do something or instruct someone to do something.
Anyone that's
Do you
involved.
understand? Trying to instruct someone to do. So, for example, that's where the query comes from. Like, you're going to be I'm going to give you a query. Why? Because I gave you an instruction to do, and you did not do it. As your boss, you flouted my instruction. So I'm going to give you a query to tell me why you disobeyed my instruction. Right? I'm going to give you a query why you disobeyed my instruction. Now, what does that mean? It means I'm instructing you. You don't have a choice, right? Because you know what it at stake if you don't do that. So coming back to computer or coming back to programming, query also means that thing. So you are instructing the computer or instructing whatever it is or instructing the data itself to do whatever you want it to do. Okay, I want to call you out. Please come out. I want to add one or two things together. I want to merge you. I want to do this. I want to do that, right? And the data doesn't have a choice. Just the way your subject will not have a choice once you query the person. Maybe you are the team lead in your department and you have some people working under you. Those people are your subject. And if you give them a query, of course, they don't have a choice other than to respond to you. The same thing with data. The data also does not have a choice other than to respond. So depending on what you are trying to do. So what do you mean by margin query? Margin query now means that I have a certain table and I want to join it with another table. For example, table means sheets, right? I'm talking about sheets now. The table that you have here, you can see here, it's talking about your worksheets, right? Aha. So your worksheet, I have like 2, 3, 4, 5 worksheets and I want to merge them together. So one worksheet has my name, my address, my phone number. The other worksheet has my department, the salary I'm earning, my my certificates, my highest degree, The third one has maybe perhaps a tertiary, something that is very deep, my account details, my NIN number, all those secret values, secret numbers that you need to keep. Your account details, your NIN value, your NIN number, your driver's license number, your kiniko number, all those numbers. The third one has it, right? So I need to, because as a data analyst, you should be able to merge those three things together. Because I know I have this here. Lekonwe has this, is in so department, maybe is in the accounting department or technical department, right? Or finance department. Lekonwe, I can get Lekonwe from the first sheet. I can get that Lekanwe is in the technical department in the second sheet. I will get that Lekanwe also has a salary of so amounts, and this is his account number. I should be able to combine these three things together and give it as a one table. So this will help me do that. Merge queries will do that for me. Append queries is trying to append or combine two or more tables. How do I mean? Maybe you went for a field and you feel, oh, this particular thing is very much. So let's split it amongst ourselves. So I'm going to do first 100, you do the second 100. So this time around, you already know that your column is the same and your data type you are putting in those columns are also the same, right? So it means we all went to the same field. We have the same book that we are following. We have the same format we are following. So please, you do first 100, second person do second 100. So we split it amongst ourselves. So before we know it, you're already done with 1,000,000 rows, right? Because we splitted it amongst ourselves. So because you are a team lead, everybody has done theirs. Everybody will submit it back to you. But it's not very important. what is very important for you is now to now be able to merge these things together, right? And combine it to a one statement or one sheet. So if you want to combine all these things into one sheet, you bring all those tables together here, right? All the sheets together here, right? So automatically, once you put them to in a one sheet, you copy them into one sheet, one workbook, and you open your Power Query, automatically you just click on append query. Once you click on append queries, boom, you see the tables here. So you will just start appending them together. Once you append, so you can combine like 3, 4, 5, even 10 tables of the same number of columns, of the same number of columns, right? You can append them together to become one. So you did one first 100, the second person do second 100. So at the end of the day, you will discover that 1 million that you are going to, you also get it, right? And that is how it works. You can see very easy and straightforward, right? So let's quickly come back to transform. What transform does is basically transform. You know, I said Power Query does two things, right? It helps us to connect with our data source, right? It helps us connect to our data source. Secondly, it helps us clean, right? It clean the data and also transform data. We are using it to transform and clean data. So our cleaning and transformation process is here, right? Is here. So most of the time, our cleaning will also come from here. So here is the first thing we can see is you can see use first role as header. So we can see use first role as header here. Now you see what it means. What it means basically is trying as much as possible to use a particular rule as header. So I think it's high time I open my Excel so I can use that to really explain what I'm doing here. So I can close this one off and go back to my place where I think I have the data set. I don't think it's here. Where is the data set? Data set, yeah. Okay, I think this is the data set. So I can come to data, enable this filter, then, so there are different ways of doing these things, right? So I'm not going to use this method. I've shown you the first method. The first method is from table. Yes, I will just do directly from the table. That's the first method. The second method is I open a new Excel book worksheet. Excel worksheets. I'm going to open that quickly. I think, okay, it's opened already, right? And I'm sure you can see my screen. So, right, so I will just go to data. From data, then I want to get my data source. Where am I getting the data source from? From a file, not from a database, from a file. So what is the file extension of that file I want to open? What's the file extension? Let me go and check again. The file extension is an Excel extension, XLXS. This is Excel. If it is CSV, it's going to be .csv, right? So let me come back here from file, from Excel workbook. Yes, that is what I'm looking for. Where exactly it is, I don't know. Yeah, I think it is. This is it here. I will just open. So once it's opened, this dialog box pops up. I'm sure you can follow. Are you following? Then I check this. So once I check this, so you will see these three things here. I have load, transform, and cancel. So if I load, it comes directly to this particular place. Do you understand? If I load, it comes directly to this particular place, right? But because I want to transform, I want to clean this thing up, right? So I will come to transform data. I'll click on transform data. So once I click on transform data, automatically Power Query editor pops up. Power Query editor pops up. So you can see all those things I was showing you, trying to go to a certain column. So choose a column, go to a column. So I can say I want to go to the age column. You know, age column is not showing here. I can just say age. Then once I do age, automatically you can see it showing me age straight up. Right? Those are things you can try out everything that I've explained here and see how it works. So let's quickly come here and show you something. I really want to show you something here, which I think is very important. All right, so we have here, this is showing use first role as header. So sometimes you might want to import a particular file into your Power Query editor, and you have something like this. Use header as first row, use first row as header, use header as first row. Yes, you might have something like this. You might import it and you have something like this. And this is what we have in Excel itself. Remember, our Excel first row is always number one. Check it out. Go and check it. It's there, right? But Power Query Editor will not do that for us. So if you import your file and you have something like this, so you can easily come to this particular place called Use First Row as Header. Click it. So first row, which is row one, make it an header. So I will just click on it. Once I do it, yeah, becomes perfect, right? So that is what I was trying to explain. We have a transpose function. Transpose is trying to make your row column and your column rows. That's the meaning of transpose, right? Make your row column and column rows. So that's the meaning. If I just click on it, you think everything changes. Can you see? So I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 14 columns that we've got, right? Aha. So everything becomes upside down. Right. So we have reverse rows, count rows. I want to know the number of rows that we have. 1026 rows. Perfect. Abi? So here is we talk about come back here. So here is talking about detect data type, rename the data type or rename the table. But most of the time, what we normally use here most times, right, is replace values. We use replace values just the way we normally do Control H. Just come here, click whatever thing you want to click. And this is even far, far better, has far more options than what we used to. So value this, value that, then we'll move on. You will see everything when we start working with it, right? So another thing here is split columns. So sometimes you want to split a column into two. Maybe for example, you have a name, a full name, just the way we did. I think we did it during the last class. Like I was able to split a full name into two, right? Using a delimiter. Yeah, it now gave me just one straightforward way of separating. This one gives me different methods. By the limiter that I have in Excel, yes, it now said, oh, I can also split by number of character. Okay, because I know all these characters are equal. Okay, after every 10th character, please split. Do you understand? After every 10 character, please split. It's possible for us to have something like that. I can do by positions. I can do by lowercase to uppercase, by uppercase to lowercase, by digits to non-digits. So please, maybe for example, you did a mistake or there is a typographical error or there is something that you've got numbers before non-digits, right? You can split. So please, from digit to non-digit. So once you see digits, please, once you are looking for digits, you have a particular row. So you want to split digit away from the non-digit. So once the digit ends and you see the non-digits, please split it. So from me, for example, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe that's your matric number or your registration number or your ticket number. And that number is also beside your name. So I will just say, okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Aweliko. Right? So I will just say, okay, split this particular table digits to non-digits. So the digits will be in one column. The non-digits will also be another column. Straight up. You can see this is giving me more options compared to what I have in Excel. Right. So this is where it becomes more interesting. So here you can see that we have issues with some things here. So all the things that we were writing functions for, lowercase, uppercase, proper, trim, clean, and other things. I can just come here and just click. With just a click, it will help me. It will do that for me. For example, let me come here. This is education column. It's going to be so obvious. That's why I'm using it. I can come here, come to format, then change to lowercase. I just click on lowercase. Everything returns to lowercase. I don't need to write functions. Power Query will write functions for me. Can you hear me, please? Can you see what Power Query has given me text.lower? I don't need to write any query. It's just a click. I'm going to get it done. So I'll convert it to lower uppercase with just a click. Then I can convert it back to what I meant it. capitalize each word, which is proper. Can you see text dot proper? I'm not the one writing it. Me, it's just to come and click. So that was why I said it saves more time. Like I said, why do we need to use Power Query? One, for automation, time efficiency, data integration, and no coding required. Like, yeah, no coding whatsoever required. Another one which I think it's very, very also very important I need to add is using of ifs. So I'm going to skip these three. So let me quickly come to conditional columns, right? This conditional column is very, very important. I'm sure every one of us will have it on their system. Check it. If you don't have it, let me know. So this conditional column is very, very important. So if you click on this conditional column, is the if statement that we normally write. So for example, maybe I have, let me see the column I'm going to use. I have a age column. I should have a column called age. Yes, in that age column, I want to create another column that will group it. So if a age is greater than or equal to, can you see? Greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. If the age is greater than or equal to 60, let's say, greater than or equal to 60, right? This is just an example. Show old age. Something came to my mind, but I'm not going to use that. I'm sure someone will know what came to my mind. If I write it down, I know that person. I won't mention the person's name. Right, old age. So I changed it back to old age. But initially, what came to my mind is this thing. Let me show you. Show old taker. I know someone will be laughing now. That person. But that's just sarcastic part of it, though, right? So you can see that instead of writing if condition, yeah. So if I want to do nested if, I will just do add clause. Can you see? Else if. Another one, else if. At the end of the day, I'll just write the remaining one. So if I click on OK, so let me close all this because that's why it's giving me this. Else, I can say empty. I can just do none. I can just say no age. Let me just put it that way. No age. All right. Let's just do no age. You will see. Can you see? That if that we did during the last class, that everybody say gree, 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 gree. Conditional column will do it for you. Easy peasy, without any issue. Yours is just to write your what's it called? Your value and your columns. What is your goal? What is going to be your logic? Yours is just to write the logic down. Okay, this is what I want. If this is this is what I want. If this is this. That assignment I gave you, Power Query Editor will do it for you. Easy peasy. In terms of getting, what's it called? Getting the results, right? The result for the school, blah, 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 blah. A, B, C, excellent, good, blah. Power Query will do it for you. Easy peasy. Right? So now I'm sure you will appreciate what Power Query is doing because you already went through the process of making sure you get those things Power Query is doing easily. Right? So you now like want to focus more on this, see what you can get from this and get it right. Another thing that this has over Excel again is you remember if you are doing Excel, you click, it records some things. The only way you can get back to it is just Control Z, Control Z. That's undo. You just undo, 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 undo. Now imagine you've finished a particular work and you've closed. Once you close, automatically your temporary file becomes erased on your system. Right? So you can't do undo again once you close your laptop or once you close your file. Not only laptop concept. Once you close your file, you can't undo anything on that file again in Excel. But Power Query has a tool that records everything that we do in Excel. So which means that everything we've been doing, there's a particular place that has been recording it, which is this place called applied steps. So imagine if I have like over 200 steps here, over 200 things I've done here, it will also record it here for me. Very well. Very simple, straightforward. to record it here. So once it records it, right, and I need to remove something, I can easily come here and remove it. So for example, if I want to do this, I can remove this easily. If I want to remove this lowercase, you can see I've skipped capitalize each word. I skipped this. I skipped this. I can remove this and say, okay, well, let me remove something else. Say change type. Can you see? I've removed it. Then I can continue. So, for example, if they just tell me, that thing is wrong, oh, you've been putting something there, and I think we should change it from 200 to 1,000. Okay, no problem. We'll just go where I change it to 200. Do you understand? I will just go to where I change it to 200, then erase it, and everything becomes normal. Right? And I will continue, I will just do that thing. And instead of that, undo, or that thing that I'm looking for is not going to be there again. Of course, Power Query will really help you. So what you are saying, what I'm trying to say is very simple. All these apply steps will be saved with my file. So if by adventure I finished everything here and I do close, come back to home and do close and load, everything becomes normal, that's the way it is. You know, you've not done anything to this thing, right? You've not done anything to this. Everything becomes, assuming you've cleaned it, everything becomes normal. And I close my file and everything becomes closed. I can come back to it. So how do I come back? Come to query because I've opened a query, then do edit, right? Once I edit, you will observe that this place is still there. You can try it. You can close even your file, close your file, shut down your laptop. Then once you launch that particular file, you use the file that you use Power Query to edit to, right, in Excel. Launch that Excel file. Then automatically you will see the edit thing. So once you click that edit, the query, then the edit, you will still see these things there. So which means for donkey years, you will still always undo, you will always undo and always redo. Do you understand? So, and this is where we're going to stop here today. Our next class, we're going to continue from here. And so we are going to start our proper data analysis work during our next class. So we're going to start, maybe we're going to use this as our project for Excel using the data analysis cycle to start from understanding project problem statements, understanding the data source, then do data cleaning, which we have already. Then we do data analysis, do EDA. Then from there, we also do data visualization. Right? Do you have any question? Any question? Can you hear me, please? So, in view of no question, then I think we could call it a day. Thank you, and have a wonderful night.